welcome to this week's Cafecito. Today is October 23rd, a beautiful day, and we are back with Cecilia Cossio. We're going to be talking some more multifamily real estate investing as we talk about Latinas and building wealth. We know this is such a critical avenue to really be versed in, and we're glad to have your expertise and your nest and everything that you're doing to share with us. So welcome again, Cecilia.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me back. I'm really grateful and honored to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So last time we started getting into multifamily real estate, and we did have some questions and really want to talk about what does the coaching side of education look like for learning how to really understand all the nuances in this industry.
And I think we talked about it a little bit the last time I was on here, how there's multiple, different groups out there doing this. So it's just really finding that coach that fits your desires, your schedule, your, whatever it is that makes you feel like you're going to be able to go to that next level. For me, it's really about providing that.
Oh, we lost her.
Feedback and trends and telling people, hey, that's not a great deal. I know you fell in love with it emotionally, but detach.
Yeah.
So I do it in levels. So being in the multifamily world for 30 years, on the property side as well, not just the asset management. I believe that has provided me the upper hand in being a coach that can really say, hey, this really does make sense. These kind of deals do make sense. But I go through I've got 7 steps, from teaching market analysis, teaching people how to look at trends, talk to them about asset management, because asset management is different from property management. And
can you break that down?
Yeah, asset management is about overall strategy, and property management is about day-to-day operations. So there is a difference. Like as an asset manager, I'm looking at the business plan and I am going through and saying, okay, here's the end, here's where we are. Like how is it that we're going to get here? So I'm looking at I'm a high level, and property management is truly about the day-to-day, strategy. As an asset manager, and part of the coaching, you're looking at not just the acquisitions and teaching people how to look at acquisitions, from napkin underwriting to, a deep dive underwriting, due diligence, but you're looking at the disposition part of it, the exit strategy, or the recapitalization strategy. So are you going to sell this in 5 years or 3 years or 7 years or 10 years? Or are you going to refinance it and just, keep it till it just doesn't make sense anymore? So there's a lot of different strategies that you have to look at when you're doing this. And sometimes where you think you start isn't where you end, because the market shifts and, you have to make a decision on how that's going to work. We look at financing. So I deal with a lot of different financing options. Always learning about financing, man. If there's anything that I'm like a little geek when it comes to that, because I want to know how we can get the money to finance these deals from every angle possible, because they don't teach us that. And I cannot say that enough. Like, they just don't teach us that. You have to go out there and figure that out each and every day. And I get it. It's like everything else, but I'm telling you, that is if you don't get financing, you don't get these deals,
Correct. Yeah.
That's just the bottom
line. And we don't know that. That's always the surprising. You're always wondering, like, well, I know certain things about this, and how do they get the money to now own all of these things? Like, teach us. And you're right. I think that because that is a little, it's also the network that you build, right? It's the people that the people that you're having conversations with, and those and I never heard that term, napkin underwriting, but that makes sense, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's if you don't know how to do napkin underwriting, then you can spend a lot of time on a deal and it's not going to make sense. They say there's a lot of different factors when you're looking at deals, and it's not just in multifamily; it's in any kind of real estate investing that you do. But I always say location is really important. Now, if location is bad, and what I mean by bad, if it's high crime rate, if it's an area that is just not conducive to the business plan, you better really understand what you're getting into before you jump in. Because I think a lot of times people say, well, this is a great price, well, yeah, it may be a great price, but the location doesn't change. You can't pick an asset up and move it. I mean, you can in some cases, but it's few and far between, right? But you can't move 100 units. That they are where they are. Now there may be regentrification in the area, or whatever else is happening in the area, and that's not to say don't invest in those areas. What I'm saying is understand what it takes to run them in those areas, because I have had assets in those areas. They just require a different type of investment and a property management company that really understands what it takes to make things happen in those areas. So, but I am big. My heart is in affordable housing. I'm in A assets. We just closed on 72 units here in Fort Worth, Texas, and it is a 2020 product. Love the property. We got it at a great steal of 14 million. But my heart always goes back to that workforce community, those teachers, that 80% AMI. So basically, if what I mean by AMI, and I do teach this in some of my coaching and consulting stuff, is if you've got an area that the average median income is 100,000, then an 80% AMI is 80,000. And so, that's really, and that's just a number I'm throwing out there for the sake of keeping the number simple, right? But the reality of it is that how much do our teachers make? How much do our police officers make? How much do our nurses make? How much is housing around those, these towns that can be fairly tight? And to find that balance and to understand that balance between an owner and a renter, having a property management company that finds that balance is crucial, because from the ownership side, I can tell you, I've seen insurance increase by 20% for the past 3 to 4 years. So, our rents aren't increasing by 20%. You've got utilities that continue to increase. Now, rents across the country have increased, significantly,
Yes,
10,
sure.
10 to 15%, which is unheard of, because the average is 3 to 5%. And when, things get tough, you don't have a growth. It is a flat, it flattens out, but the expenses continue to grow. You can always count on having a 5% growth in expense, 3 to 5% growth in expenses.
Easy.
In one or another. Yeah, it's just the way it is. So you have to really know how to manage these assets, and make sure your people are properly trained to understand and continue growing. So
And when you say people within your organization that you're that you're going to execute on this. So but when you join a community like yourself, or like a what do you call that centrum of group of individuals that you're
I'm part of a syndication group. I also have
syndication.
Right. I'm part of a JV partnership, and the partners that I'm currently with, we raise funds. Even my smaller syndication group, we raise funds. Like right now, we've got a deal we're working on, 70 units in Ohio. And people say Ohio is beginning to be a hot market, and we have 400,000 left to raise there. So we're a small group, but it is like a 2x multiple. And I'm saying all these numbers. So these are the things I teach, like what this means
Yeah.
between the multiples, between the IRR and the AR, what people get back in returns. Because there's so many promises out there that people make. But I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you, it's a risk you take. When you invest money, it's a risk. That's why you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you are educated in some format on what these things mean and how they apply to your money and your investment and whoever you're investing with or whoever's teaching you, that they understand that your 5,000 or your grandma's 5,000 is equally valuable to somebody's 500,000. Like, it's I say that from my heart because a veces la gente dice pues man, that's just 10K que los traen. No, you know what, like my grandfather saved every penny and that means everything to them. Like you treat that
Yeah.
money like you're feeding your own kids with it. So when you're out there and you're joining these syndication groups and these networking events, always pay attention to how they talk about people's money and how quickly they ask you for money. Because I think that's the other thing that I like to teach people is, hey, Sandra, we met yesterday, but I'm calling you today and I'm saying, hey, you want to invest in this deal of $50,000? No, ma'am. First of all, I
Yeah.
can't do that if it's a 506B or if it's a 506C, and we talked about that last time. A 506B is for family and friends, and you don't have to be accredited. A 506C is open to everybody. You can post it on every social media, newspaper, news station, whatever, and it's for accredited investors. And so when people are out there investing, know what type of investor you are and make sure that that those that you're investing with aren't breaking any SEC guidelines. That's also part of our coaching strategy because you could be innocent and I could say, Sandra, hey, let's make you a capital raiser for my property. And so, capital raising is necessary when you're buying properties. That is how
Yeah.
we buy properties. We raise capital and then we
Yeah.
get financing. That's the piece that you have to have, right? Unless you have $3 million sitting in your bank. As a capital raiser, if you break any SEC rules, then I am liable for those.
Yeah.
And it's bad. Like it's not a good thing.
So how would you
So
vet? How would you go about vetting the individuals, especially when there's a lot of these? You're right that are pop up. I will say that pop up at different settings all over the country. How can you vet them? Is there some pre-work that you can do, or is that something that you
you
need
get into
to?
mentorships and they teach you, like, this is what we teach. Like my that's part of what I teach is here's,
Okay.
just high level, you're going to look at their history. You're going to look at what part, what kind of groups are they in? Have they conducted any, go see if they have bankruptcy. Like you can look and see what state they live in, and some states put that out there. Not to say that people who have bankruptcies are bad people, but I think it's important that they let people know, hey, these are the challenges I've had. Because you know how many people that are millionaires have claimed bankruptcy? I mean, we won't get into that, but like it happens, like they do. But when it comes to these smaller syndication teams, like ours is not it's not a REIT. We're not out there raising money into a fund of funds, and that we can do a fund and still not be a REIT. We just choose to do it this way at this time. But it is asking the right questions, finding out, how many deals are they in. I post on social media a lot. I've started making video clips of, like, guys, I know this is what I post, but like this is the struggles we go through. Like, because I think there has to be a balance of showing people,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks all great. And I'm very positive, and my positive affirmations are 100%. They're there, those are real. And that is how I survive daily, because what we do through this real estate stuff or any of the other, entrepreneurships that I have, this stuff is hard. It's not easy. You're grinding every day. Even when
Yeah.
you have other people working for you, they say don't work in your business. That's all great, but you're in your mind, you're still working it and you're still moving forward with it.
All the
So
time, all the
yeah,
time. Even
so
having people, because you're stressed now, or you have responsibility over the output and
yes,
over every detail, and that's definitely a struggle. So on that, let's pivot onto the leadership aspect of what it takes to really own that presence of saying, okay, I'm at this stage in life, I really want to look at investing in properties. How do I lead myself? How do I lead, besides like finding the right spaces, because I think that's going to be hard. Or I don't know, unless you have like a list of look for these things, and when you look at spaces, besides I think coming to you, do you also serve nationally, mentor nationally, I'm assuming, right? Not just
yeah,
locally, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So what, when it comes to the leadership aspect, like what are your thoughts on Latinas and leadership and your leadership, and then how we can, what's needed when it comes to really looking at multifamily investing and investing as a whole, any type of real estate.
Well, I think one is you need to know where you are financially, like, and
Yep.
what's your risk tolerance, right?
Yep.
And look, anything you can do to save so you can invest is major. I don't care if it's, $5 a week. I don't care if it's, whatever.
Oh, we're losing her.
Make sure that you are always tracking that. Like I when I look back, I think that's been one of my biggest accomplishments is, I'm like, okay, look, my grandpa used to have a carpenter's pen, a pencil, and he had his tablet and he had a ledger, and that's how he would keep track of everything. And I remember looking, oh, that's what he's doing. Like, these are the I think he didn't have an education, but
Yeah.
he kept track of everything, and he saved, and then he would invest a little bit. And now, don't get me wrong, there was, after a period of time, there was some times that we really struggled. My heart, again, I remember as a child seeing furniture being put out, and I didn't know what was going on. I was playing with my friend, and we were being evicted. And my grandfather protecting, I guess, my mind, my heart, whatever it was. We had a place to go. We didn't live in our car or anything. We had family, and we had a house soon after that. But all of that was a result of a situation that didn't allow him to work. So, for like a month, I think it was, from where I remember, he was sick in the hospital. Like, either ways, I don't want to get into that. But my point is that you track, you develop, you design a plan that works for you. And when that doesn't work, then just readjust, because life happens. So you have to readjust and
Yep.
get back on track. So make a plan to invest however much you can. That's really important. For us as Latinas, I think it's getting out into these spaces and really learning and educating ourselves on what does this mean. And if I'm only at 60,000 a year and I only have, $1,000 a year after all my bills, then what can I do to adjust this? I used my 401k to start investing. I used my bonuses from my job to start investing. And I think on the last call I told y'all, like, I used to buy houses and sell them after 2 years because I knew that I was going to have to pay, my daughter's private school. And then the cars came, and I was a single mom. So, you figure it out. So what is it that you can do to create that additional source of income. I also tell people, like, create a side gig. If you're a W-2, create a side gig. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, then you already know, like, you got to have 10, 20, like, yeah, like I got all kinds of things going on, but I don't do them by myself. As a leader, I understand that I have to build a team. And then I don't get greedy, because greed kills all. And so the teams all bring in their own special superpower. And, you know, my teams have gotten smaller and smaller because people think that you get into these spaces and then all of a sudden you're making all this, you know, money. I mean, yeah, you are, but it's not, it doesn't work that way. So from a
Yeah.
leadership standpoint, I think you have to own, and you said that word. What do we do to own? You have to own your own actions and your own desires, and then what's a plan to reach that goal, and be patient. Take action, but be patient.
Yeah.
That is key.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because you know everything you're saying is so resonating. I think we do. We need to have like a course or something that's that we can take people through. But I love the points that you brought up. You know, we have to be number one mentally prepared, right? Are you in it? Do you see the vision? You know, are you ready to take that investment? And if you're not just yet, planting those seeds, saving money, being around circles, having those conversations where you can, finding communities, finding people like you to have conversations with and see what we can learn and absorb from you, and dabble and know that it's all a risk, right? But
Right.
it's how do we, you know, regardless, it's not like what's the safest risk. Well, you know, you never know on anything, but what I think is first for, you know, of understanding is the numbers, right? Okay, so like you mentioned before, the 5,000, your 5,000 is as much as his 500,000, and that's very difficult for us to even conceive that. What do you mean? No, I put in less, therefore I am worth less in this situation. Pero I love that mentalidad that you share. Like, no, you're all bringing money to the table, and all of that money is to be respected equally in some way. But so
When
what?
I
How
take
do
people's
we? Yeah,
money,
yeah,
I have 3 children and I have 8 grandchildren. And let me tell you, I I treat that money like it's theirs. Because it is, it's their future. I treat that money like, you know, I want my children to always do the right thing. And I want to make sure that they understand the power of having this responsibility. It's very powerful, and it can be good and it can be bad. And as long as we do the right thing in every step that we take, then, you know, as long as I can look in the mirror and I can look my kids in the eye, like that's what I need to do. It's not always perfect. There's no perfect system. Like, you know, if there was, I'm sure somebody would be charging us $1 million for it, because it is the market, it is risk, and it's all, you know, it's what we do. But part of that is being in the right mentorships. And I told you that, you know, I have a mentorship that I'm doing, but we've talked about us putting something out there that we can put out there for everybody to take. You know where I go with that. And look, full transparency, it's still not good enough. I'm still not providing enough. So I struggle with that too. Like, you know, I'm always looking for ways to improve it and improve it and improve it, because I think that's just how, you know, something that I'm always going through. How can I make it better? How can I make it better? So, you know, it's something that I'll catch myself. No, this still isn't good enough. And I'm like, no, Cecilia, shift that focus. Like, it's good. You know, there's some gaps that you can fill. Yes. But there's always gaps we can fill. And I think that's where I go to people of, you know, done is better than not even getting started. Like, you've got to get started somewhere. So, you know, whatever that means, I think getting into the right mentorships, getting into mentorships that fit your box. And people, you will know when you go to these, they get you all hyped up. And remember that never buy the day you are there, because their job is
yeah,
typically to sell that first day or that second day.
yeah.
Go home and sleep on it.
I've been to a couple of them. Like they're a lot of rah rah, and I'm like, yeah, I can't. Like I know I'm just a number at this point. Like it's just a matter of who can we close in this space, and I'm like, por eso I think people we're very hesitant to, okay, like who's giving us the right information. And so walking into some of those places that they just do pop up events, I don't think is a great. I mean, I think it's good to experience it, to hear stuff, but I feel like it's more that one-on-one and meeting someone like you and someone that you can have conversations with and really get a one-on-one mentorship that can guide you through a process versus really feeling like you're in the room and they're just looking at you as okay, this person's ready, let's cash out, whatever they're charging for that day.
But you got to get into the mentorships. You got to get into something in order to learn. It's really important to get out there and again, start small if you need to, but start somewhere.
Yeah. I love it. This has been great. I think there's I'm looking forward to learning so much more on this space. And then I think I shared with you last time a little bit, I'm so excited about the commercial real estate side. I don't know. I'm obsessed with that side. I see.
Well, and you've got, commercial so vast, right? You've got the multifamily, you've got the storages, you've got the retail centers, the retail centers right now. There's you've got the mixed use, like the property we just got is mixed use. It's got, residential and commercial spaces. So it's out there, people, and we're very capable of doing it. I think lo que tenemos que hacer es juntarnos. We got to come together, whether it's you and your family, you and your friends, you and people you trust, know, like, and trust them before you give them money. You don't have to, you don't have to be like, I tell people, you don't have to be my best friend, but you have to have some kind of trust in me. I don't want to take your money. I do interviews as well. Just so you know, make sure they do interviews on you because I want to make sure that person's ready before they hand me money. So
and that's exactly, I think, what is the answer to when you're looking for somebody is, are they asking you questions about your financial status, your position, and whether or not it's safe or the right time for you? But it's great to have those conversations. But I love that. That's gold. That's
sure. If they're asking for you to just put it on a credit card, if you don't have the money right now, just put it on a credit card. Walk away.
Yeah, red flags.
Not to say that people don't buy assets on credit card. Look, there's a lot of different creative ways to do it, but when you're starting, that's probably not the best way.
Yeah. Or at least in a first conversation when they know nothing else about you. It's like, okay. Awesome. Yeah. We got Sonia. Thank you so much for tagging so many people in the chat. That was great. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this. Cecilia, it's always a pleasure hanging with you and just being in your energy and in your space and just everything, all that you have to share. Look forward to seeing what else we can do together and keep spreading this knowledge and what you're doing. Yeah. So if somebody wants to connect with you, go ahead.
I want to make sure that we continue to grow as Latinas in the real estate space. We're not large enough.
Yeah. Absolutely
not. Even a little bit. Like we need to.
Yeah. Like I said, let's buy something together. Let's buy this big conglomerate. One day it'll be. Awesome.
I am on Instagram.
Yes.
You were asking that. So I am Cecilia Cossio on Instagram. Cecilia Cossio.com. Is my website, NextGen, NEXGEN, legacy.com. So you can go onto the website and send me, to the side bottom page, there's a contact form that you can send, fill out, and it'll send it to me and I'll get back to you. I'm on Facebook, but I'm not on Facebook enough anymore. So, really Instagram is where I've been spending a lot of time. And my daughter says I have to learn how to do TikTok. Okay. At some point, but I don't have time today.
I know. Well, exactly. If you're already doing them for reels or stories for Instagram, might as well just drop them in there. Nunca sabe. Yeah. Cecilia,
So,
a pleasure. I love having you. Any last words you want to share before we close out?
just believe in yourself. Whatever it is that you're looking to do, if you want to buy real estate, then you have to start by believing that you're going to do it. Because saying, pues no se puede ser, no se puede ser. No, shift it to cuándo se va a hacer. ¿Cómo lo voy a hacer? Porque lo voy a hacer. So how am I going to make this happen? Because I'm going to make it happen. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I didn't know that I would be in this. I knew that I would be buying multifamily, but I didn't know I would be here today. And I got to tell you, it's slow and steady. But no matter what, had I not believed that this is what I was going to do, because this is what I wanted to do, and nobody was going to tell me any differently, I wouldn't be here. So you need to do that for yourselves. Believe in whatever dream it is you have, and whatever dream you have, multiply it by 100%, because our dreams typically stay in our comfort zone. So dream bold and big, because God will make sure that he hears you.
I love it. Put it out into the universe. The universe's responsibility is what we think and what we feel. And we have to keep thinking that we're worthy of the things that we want to create versus saying that's for somebody else, or that's, I'm not ready yet. No, you have to believe and own the fact that you are entitled to absolutely everything that you can imagine and want for yourself. And it's up to us to go out there and build the connections and build the relationships to make it. So
it is our responsibility.
Yes.
It is our responsibility.
Amen.
Yep.
Amen.
So
I love it. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you guys for staying tuned. We will catch you next week on next week's Cafecito. Stay well.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Bye.